Welcome to The Real Generation Gap. I'm Rudy Ruiz.
I'm Fred Stilley.
And today we're going to be discussing Ryan Coogler's new film, Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan.
No relation.
So this follows two brothers, Smoke and Stack, in 1930s Mississippi, who return from Chicago to open up a juke joint. And as they throw a party on their grand opening night, some evil ensues where they are descended upon by vampires, by some vampires. So we've got, let's just jump in. There's a lot to say about this one.
It's an interesting blend of two movies.
Yes.
Right? Now, see, I love music. And by the way, the soundtrack in this movie was great.
Amazing. Ludwig Göransson.
Really good.
One of the greats right now.
You know, it's when a soundtrack is so subliminal that you don't even realize there's a soundtrack, that's when a soundtrack is great. It had a few moments where there's musical performances, and those performances were great. But just the background, when they're just driving through the country and there's that bottleneck dobro guitar thing going on, I think everybody loves that. I think that's a natural thing to like. It's like conga drumming or woodwork in a house. Like nobody ever goes in a house and goes like, what's with all this woodwork? It's like, wow, look at this beautiful woodwork, right? So the Delta Blues stuff. And so this is a movie that just on your intro, just the Delta Blues, it's 1932, they're driving Model Ts. You know, it's these guys came back from World War I, right? Nobody knows there's going to be a World War II. And it's that time, and it's in home of the Delta Blues, right, in Mississippi. There's all mostly black people in the movie, and the music is like a major player in the movie. Yeah, like the Delta Blues is a character in this movie.
Yeah, very much.
So these guys rip off some gangsters in Chicago. They themselves are gangsters. They're twin brothers, Smoke and Stack. They call the Smokestack brothers. And both parts are played by Michael B. Jordan. Yeah. No relation. And it's incredible when they do that because they talk to each other or they hug each other. Yeah. So when they're hugging each other, it's obviously not, it's another guy, but the face. And this actor is a very handsome guy and very muscular as well. So those characters, both of them, he comes off really great. And I wanted to say it, I didn't think that, boy, oh boy, his acting in this movie was not the great acting performance of all time. But I can see where he will become a great act. Like, he needs the right part. This was kind of a B movie. It's not The Godfather, right, this thing. So I can see where with the right part, because it's a horror movie, his emotions, they're not so real. It's supposed to be sensationalized. Everything's supposed to be exaggerated. It's a horror movie. You're screaming, all right? So he's shocked and in horror, and then when he loves somebody, he really loves them. But when he had those moments, like when he expressed love to two women. One of them was Andrea Ward Hammond, who really was beautiful and did an incredible job. I was a little curious about who she actually was. Because in one point they have sex with her, he has sex with her, but at another point, it seemed as though she had raised him. She was using voodoo and mojo and everything to protect him in the war and stuff. So there was an age thing that I didn't quite sort out.
I think it's just that they were, they never say if they were married, I don't think, but I think they were just in a relationship. Right. Obviously, they tell us that, or they show us that they had a child that didn't survive. Right. And I think it was just her love for him, as a romantic partner to want to keep him protected.
But then at the same time, there was the mulatto girl, the mostly white girl.
Yeah, Haley Steinfeld. I forgot her name in the movie, though.
Yeah, who also did, you got that right. And she also did a terrific job as an actress. And these are people who I don't know. So it was kind of cool to see them because I'll recognize them now. I forgot where I was going with this.
Well, with the acting performances, I'll jump back to Michael B. Jordan real quick. I love him in everything I've seen him in. And I kind of see what you mean, where it's not like, I don't know that it's going to go down as one of the all-time great acting performances. I don't even know if he'll get, Academy recognition later in the year.
The movie did make money.
Definitely.
And it's only been out for a couple of weeks, so it's doing well still.
Mm-hmm. But I think his performance, what I really loved about it, and it's like you go in, from the trailer, all right, he's playing twin brothers. Okay, one of them has the red, one of them has more of the blue. Right, so we even have it on the poster here. But man, where I think his performance is so good in that I saw it twice. When I'm watching the movie, I found myself not even thinking about the fact that, oh, he's playing two different people. This will be, and normally you go in and you kind of know
that it was two people.
Yeah,
I thought it was two different actors.
The way they speak, like their different mannerisms, and just like the little detail. One of them's got the toothpick and the gold tooth, and just the little things they do different from each other. The way they might speak and interact with people. Like he does, I think, such an incredible job pulling that off to where, I never thought. Like, as I'm watching the movie, I'm not saying, wow, what a great performance. It's like afterwards, I'm like, damn, that was one guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he did two characters at the same,
to your point, I don't know that it's going to go down as like an incredible performance, but it really is. And I think that's what really counts is it's almost like editing. When you don't even notice it, that's when you know it's really great.
Right. Right. And editors are always underappreciated in every movie. Mm-hmm. Like that's even like if you watch the Academy Awards or something, that's the guy who made the movie.
Yeah.
He split second timing and continuity stuff. It's really interesting. Mm-hmm. But I think with the right part, he will really shine at some point. At some point, he'll get the right part.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Al Pacino, but he sure was a good Michael Corleone, wasn't he? Just a right part. So really, the whole story with buying the sawmill, making the juke joint or the barrel house, sometimes they call it, right? Mm-hmm. You know that expression, right? Mm-hmm. And then he bought it from the guy who was the Ku Klux Klan leader, dragon or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was that showdown was going to come.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool. You know what I really loved? At the end of the movie, they showed the credits, and then they showed a whole nother thing, another scene from the movie.
Yeah.
And
singing.
And when Buddy Guy came on,
Sammy, old Sammy.
I should recognize Buddy Guy, right? I know that guy. Like it was such a shock that it was Buddy Guy. Mm-hmm. He was the old Sammy. He was Sammy grown up. And when I say this is two movies in one, the whole story of him and how he became like the king of the Delta Blues and he lived his whole life. But then there was the whole vampire aspect, which it really was two movies,
Yeah. And it almost, to me, like it has the horror elements and they hit you with some of the, especially in the beginning when it's him, when I love this opening scene of him just pulling up in the car and like stumbling into the church and he's been through hell and back and Sammy, and they open that everyone just like, oh, what happened to you? And it jump cuts to like the experiences he had and his father's the preacher.
Yeah, that was a 24-hour flashback.
Yeah, put down the guitar and all that. And
which he would never do. And that was his faith, why he became the great guitar player. Mm-hmm. Even though all this happened, he was still hanging on to his true love.
Yeah.
Which he did get to keep throughout his life. And that was heavy. And then one of the great lines in the movie was when he was a real old man and the vampires came back respectfully to visit him. And he said, right up until sundown, that was the greatest day of my life. And a lot of people have a life like that where something incredibly good happened and then their mom died or something. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh my God, the high and low, right? The weird Zen balance or something. And that was another thing that made the movie great. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen Crossroads with Ralph Macchio.
Oh, no.
Okay, well, it's the same movie. Ralph Macchio is like a little white kid from Juilliard, and he wants to be a blues man.
I've heard of this movie, yes.
Right, and he goes down there, and the legend is that if you go to the crossroads at midnight and you call for Satan, Satan will come, take your soul, and make you into a superstar. Mm-hmm. And this was the deal. and Ralph Macchio was a Juilliard guitar player who he had to come and have a showdown with the devil, who was Steve Vai, who was a phenomenal devil, right? And played like absolutely like wild.
Yeah.
And so they're doing this to regain the soul of Willie Brown, the harmonica player, which this movie had the harmonica player. So it was that same setting, that same, the Mississippi Delta, the evil of Satan, and it was cool when the lead vampire was killed, that he like went in flames right off into the heavens and everything. But, I didn't like the continuity that the white girlfriend and either Smoke or Stack, one of the two of them, that he did survive that. But you know why he did? Because everybody else was outdoors when it was sunrise and they all burned when the sun came out, but those two were inside.
Yeah.
So even though we're staked through the heart, I don't know about the girl, but she got a stake in the heart from the back, I think.
Haley Steinfeld?
Yeah. She didn't get a stake in the heart?
No, she never got staked.
Yeah, so that's why she survived. And then the other twin, he survived somehow because he was in and he didn't burn.
Yeah, and he tells them, because when they were fighting each other, the brothers, and he's telling old Sammy what happened, he's like, he let him go with the promise that he wouldn't
never
go
after
after
old Sammy.
him. Yeah, never kill him.
He wouldn't go after young Sammy.
Yeah, and so they hid away and
they have a covenant.
Survived.
They had a covenant.
Like this movie, I was going to say it's interesting because it almost didn't feel, especially after watching it, like a horror movie. It just like, it's a movie with a little bit of horror stuff happening and like vampires are just in it.
But I love the white vampires. But they played their
music.
Great,
Rennick, yeah.
Right. They played their music. And and they did the Irish dancing. You know what I mean? They were like the traveling Irish.
It's such an interesting idea and take too, because ultimately he's sucking people's blood and they're dying, whatever, but he wasn't really like evil. He wasn't out for evil. It just, he's making his group.
He kind of wanted a love connection.
Yeah, he wanted
to live forever. You'll be part of our community.
We're gonna live together, and here it's peaceful. There's no racism. There's no we're just loving each other. And we're playing
happy
music.
Vampires just sucking through life.
Yeah. And it's this interesting idea where him being like, we can deduce that he's been around for a long, long time, and he's experienced these things. He's experienced, in his culture, his own bad history, So when he comes in and he's talking to them, it's like he truly is coming from a place of peace and love, I guess. I know we just want to play. Like, these guys are going to kill you, but we're going to rectify them soon.
Right,
like we're going to get that racist guy and just join us and all that. And it's weird too. It's because then you can almost see a layer of like, it could be culty, or like it could be a message about cults, about religion, about, again, just vampirism, racism, whatever you want to project on it, you can do that. And I think it's so interesting because
there was a lot going on.
Yeah. Even when they do come up and it's like, oh, we're just, and there's that woman that just keeps repeating everything they say. Like, it just sounds like, oh, there's some folks that came to your doorstep and, hey, you want to hear the good word about this?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
We're just here. We just want to party with you guys.
They were kind of like born again Christians that way. Like, you heard the good news.
Yeah.
You can live forever, and it's in between life and death, or, oh man.
I was a little surprised how, and I guess it does make sense with I think her name was Annie, being kind of the spiritual, the mojo bags and spiritual, and knows all this lore. So I guess it works, but it was interesting to me how in the movie they straight up say like, oh, this is vampires and here are the rules: garlic, silver, blades. Right. I'm like, oh man, they're in a world where I guess they read the vampire books, and it makes me think
the harmonica player sort of had an insight, like, they're not going to get me.
Yeah.
Like I think he had dealt with it before or something, right?
Yeah. And it's funny, like, I can't help but think of From Dusk Till Dawn. Of course, it's a big comparison. Yeah. I love that, and I was almost hoping the big showdown would be more like that. It wasn't, spoiler alert, but there's even a moment in that movie when it's like the last few survivors and they're talking about it.
That's what it is. This is a combination of Dusk Till Dawn and Crossroads.
Right.
Those two movies. Those two movies. And they had a baby. You know.
Yeah.
That's. But
there's a scene in that movie I love when they're talking about like, oh, we can make a cross, like put two crosses together, holy water, and he's like, oh, Peter Cushing used to do this in the movies, you know, and they're like, all right, we're just repeating stuff we saw in the movies, and this reminded me of that. But I mean, it's still cool and it works. And you brought up the harmonica player, Delroy Lindo, who I think is one of the most underappreciated actors, is so good in this movie. He really teeters this line of someone that clearly comes from a tragic past and understands the blues, but is still comic relief at the same time.
Yeah.
And just, he's just such a good actor. I love him.
His character had real depth. I loved it when they first encountered each other. And he says, I've been playing in this place Saturday night for years, and I'm going to be playing there. It'll be there when I'm gone. Your thing tonight, you may do it one night, you may do it 2 nights, but you're never going to make it longer.
Yeah.
And it was that kind of skepticism, you know, that's from experience. You know, I've had people offer me money. He's saying, not me, but I've had people offer me money to do, I'm going to stick with what I have. You know, and all he wanted to basically do was just drink and be in that environment. That was his life, and he knew it. He was resigned to his life. He didn't have ambition like the 2 gangster brothers.
Yeah.
Kind of a great movie in lots of ways, but because it was the blend, it was so weird. Like, some of the stuff was just kind of unnecessary. I do like it that Preacher Boy, when he got his face scratched, that later on when he turned into Buddy Guy,
he's got those scars.
You can see that. That's you know, but his love of the guitar transcended for him. He stayed with it, and he did it without giving up his soul.
Yeah.
Now the thing I loved at that end part was, you know, in vampire lore, you have to invite them into your house, right? So when the bar says there's a guy and a girl out there, they want to know if it's okay to come in. He's like, let him. You know, he knew what was coming. And they certainly drove that message that you had to be invited. They drove that into you.
So that was a big one
at the end. But worth seeing. I had fun. I really enjoyed it. The audience really enjoyed it. I think if you're ready to rate, I'm going to give this an 8.
Yeah.
It's surprising to me.
I'm going to give it an 8 as well. It's an experience of a movie for sure. Especially, I mean, I do have to bring up being the camera guy. Like, they shot on 70 millimeter Ultra Panavision, like the film that they used to do like Ben-Hur and stuff like that. And, you know, they also shot on IMAX, like 15 perf, big screen. Like, those film strips are like this. And I saw it at the Vista on a 70 millimeter film print. So it was all at that wide aspect ratio. And then I drove all the way to Irvine Spectrum because City Walk has the biggest screen in LA and it was sold out. But the next biggest is Irvine Spectrum. So I went to that screening. So over there in the IMAX screen is where you get the aspect ratio change, where it goes from wide to the full screen. And good Lord, is it.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw the full screen.
Man, like completely immersive experience, and that's the way to go. And one thing I do want to bring up real quick is the scene where Preacher Boy Sammy is singing and performing for everybody.
The first time he sings, it's shocking how good he is.
Yeah, he's and I think that was his voice. I want to say, I think it's actually him singing.
Well, the actor did that.
I'm pretty sure. I'll have to double check that. But the scene where he's playing the blues, it's the I lied to you about how he lied to his father, and there's that connection. But that the camera kind of floating around and the music incorporates, because there's the voiceover of like, oh, if you play certain music, it can be a connection to the past and the future. It's all this like
be
spiritual,
healing, but it could
but
call,
it could invite
call
something evil,
right.
And when you're seeing like mixed in the crowd, like old, cultural costumes and music, and
I totally forgot
like
about that.
All that stuff, and like the Chinese dancers and everything is such an incredible moment.
Let's tell the audience about that. Let's tell them about it, right? Because we know, because we saw the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they're in the juke joint, and it's really, everything is really, everybody's there, the food's good, the liquor's good, everything's good. The the musician who's playing, the singer guitar player, he's so good that every genre of music enters the room. So as Rudy said, there's multicultural, there's multi-generational, it's, old, new, stuff from now, stuff from way in the past, there was all elements that were all blending, and
it's like incorporates like a hip hop, drum beat on top of the song he's singing.
Right.
And,
no matter what he was doing, it worked with everything. Yeah. That was a crazy heavy scene.
Yeah.
Now,
amazing.
When I saw it, I didn't appreciate how great it was till I got to the end of it. Like when I first saw like the hip hop guy or something, the guy with the weird like spaced out outfit.
The guitarist, yeah.
Oh, the electric guitar guy with the
the
flying V and everything. I was like, oh, this is stupid.
There was a second where I thought that I was like, they're doing this. I don't know that it's gonna work. And then 5-10 seconds later, I'm like, oh man, it's work. I felt like I was over there floating in the party with them, man. Like it works so well. But I had that initial thought. I was like, I don't know.
And I also that you said it. I didn't appreciate the camera work on that. I didn't appreciate it.
Yeah.
It was part of the magic for me.
You're just sucked in, as you should be.
I was completely sucked in.
Yeah.
But now that you mention it, like when you watch this movie, like tune into that. Be aware of the amount of direction, not the actor direction, but holy mackerel.
Yeah. Well, and then when it goes back to him playing and it pans up and then the ceiling's burning apart. And then all of a sudden the camera's outside, and just that shot where it's burned down, but they're all dancing inside. And then then you get the vampires walking into the foreground and the glowing eyes because they're hearing it again. It's the evil being called, or whatever the spiritual being called. Right. But that was an amazing, just immersive sequence.
Yeah, it was a really whole story of the movie for a really quick little synopsis in itself, like stuck in there.
Yeah. And that truly is the moment, like they say, I know we did the rating, but I still have a little more. But like you said earlier, like I did love that part too at the end when he does say, old Sammy, the best time of my life. And he asked, like, was it the same for you? I'm just like, did you guys feel the same way? And when it cuts to those flashes of them, and it's these moments in life that we don't appreciate, right? When he's like, yeah, that was the last time I saw my brother and that I saw the sun. And it's the shot of him and his brother just like watching the sunset and everybody like before the party when they're rolling in and like setting up and just laughing. And it's like those little life moments that, and he's like, that's when we were free. Like for that period of time, we had real freedom, which is what they were all about. That's kind of one of the themes, like just freedom from their Chicago stuff, from this and
the KKK,
and everything. Just
they were with their people in their place,
something, and to do what they want to do. And one other detail I really like too is when the two brothers before they split up to go, to the grocery store and then to go get Delroy Lindo. Is when they hug each other, and you never hear this, but he's like, "I love you," you know what I mean? And like you don't hear that often when it comes to men like that. And I like that, even though they're tough guys, they're very masculine, they're not messing around.
Yeah, but the war, and everything.
I just like that little that little bit of detail in there. That even regardless of all that, they
when they said to these women that they loved them. Mm-hmm. They both said it. Like, you gonna make me say it?
Right.
I love you. I think about you every day. Mm-hmm. You're always on my mind.
Yeah.
Like, even though I want you to get the hell out of here, that in my heart, I'm faithful. You're my girl. And they both said it to different girls. It's like they both had that moment. Like, I compartmentalized you. Mm-hmm. And compartmentalization is a big part of my life. I'll tell you that for sure. I have to be different people at different times, and everybody has there's a lot of Rudys, there's a lot of Freds, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of Franks. Franks, I wonder what the other ones are like. This is a guy who's working behind the scene here, unacknowledged star of the show. But anyway, that's what I mean that's why I'm giving it such a high rating. The movie had a ton of heavy moments, and it was somehow put in this cartoonish kind of an environment, you know.
Yeah,
but-
almost comic booky in a way, but
Yeah, the
still
Chinese
works
couple.
and still has.
The Chinese
I
couple,
love them.
She
love
was
them.
a badass, the girl.
Yeah.
She was really, she's, you know, if it's not go time, when is it? If this isn't go
That
time.
that is a really good. I love that. Grace, I think her name was Grace.
Yeah.
When she's like, I saw you shoot a man outside my store this morning, just for trying to steal your truck, and now all of a sudden,
Yeah,
you're not ready to go.
You're
Yeah.
backing off.
Just getting the Molotov cocktails ready. Yeah, that's a great. I was sad to see her husband get killed. As soon
Get
as she's like, "Oh,
absorbed.
go
He got
get
absorbed.
Yeah, like go get the car." He's like, "All right, I'll get it. We'll go back to our kid." And it's like, "Oh man, it's too bad." But yeah, man, it's
Plenty of great characters.
yeah, great movie. I mean, amazing cinematography. Autumn Arkapaw. I mean, yeah, really, really great film. And man, is it the Choctaw, the Chickasaw, the Native Americans, Choctaw?
Yeah.
There's another where I thought they were going to come back at the end somehow, or maybe they would just cross paths with the survivor. And I don't think it needs that.
No.
But man, there is a group, and I'm glad that, you know, Ryan Coogler like kind of didn't get into that and make it more than it needed to be. It's like, here's our people, here's our focus. But man, there's another movie right there that I would love. Like, man, we're like, what was their day leading up to that point where Rennick escaped?
Yeah.
And like, what did they do?
because he was
afterwards?
burned.
Yeah.
You know
like
what I
he
mean?
was this. Yeah, that would have been interesting. But yeah, great movie. Rated 8.
It certainly was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, you know, we hope you watch it and enjoy it as much as we did. It was a surprise to me. I enjoyed it. I resisted enjoying it, but man, I'm
I'm glad you liked it. I was really worried, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I left the theater just like, what was all that? And it just, I say this in so many reviews. It's become a cliche now, but this is a movie you can watch more than once. You know, and you did, right?
I did. Yeah, I saw it twice.
Yeah. Well, that's you're the horror guy.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks again for watching our production. We hope you stick with us and watch many more. We'll see you then.